He said it so casually. Asim needs it more than you. My father didn't even look at me when he said it. He just stared at the paper, the will he'd just signed, like it was some business transaction, not the final nail in what was left of our relationship. I didn't argue, didn't ask why my stepbrother, his new wife's son, deserved the inheritance my mother and I had built our lives around. I just smiled, quiet, small, deliberate, the kind of smile that hides a storm behind it. He mistook that silence for acceptance. He didn't know it was the beginning of his undoing. I was 13 when his second wife, Nadia, entered our house. She was beautiful, yes, but not in a soft way. Her beauty had edges, sharp and precise, like a knife disguised as jewelry. My father softened around her. The man who used to lecture me about saving money started buying imported perfumes and designer suits. And Asim, her son, was the golden boy. Fake charm, perfect manners, and that permanent smirk of entitlement. I saw through it from day one. But my father? He saw his own reflection in that boy. When my mother died, I thought grief might bring us closer. Instead, he remarried 6 months later. He called it healing. I called it what it was, replacement. The betrayal began slowly. Small things at first. The joint accounts were suddenly restructured. My father's signature started appearing beside Nadia's on property papers. Then Asim moved into my old room when I left for university. Still, I said nothing. When I graduated with honors, he didn't come to the ceremony. But he sent a message. "Proud of you. Asim's starting his business. Need some funds. We'll settle soon." He never did. The breaking point came at his lawyer's office 6 months ago. He called it a formality, said he wanted to update the will. I remember every second of that meeting. The smell of leather chairs, the hum of the ceiling fan, the way Nadia's diamond bracelet caught the light as she signed next to him. That's when he said it. Asim needs it more than you. The words hit harder than any slap. I didn't cry. I just watched the ink dry on my disinheritance. Watched him choose a stranger over his blood. And as I walked out, I knew one thing. He'd just given me more than money ever could. A reason. Revenge, when done right, is an art form. It doesn't start with rage. It starts with restraint. First, I studied. I didn't just study business law. I specialized in inheritance law. Quietly, patiently. Every clause, every loophole, every technical flaw that could undo a will if handled correctly. Second, I started visiting his lawyer. Casually at first. A friendly how's business kind of visit. Lawyers love gossip more than clients. By the third visit, I knew everything. When the will was signed, under what conditions, and most importantly, who witnessed it. And then came the third move. I met one of the witnesses, my father's accountant, over coffee. A good man, loyal but underpaid. Everyone has a price. Mine was truth. His was 200,000 rupees in cash. He told me the will wasn't fully legal. The signatures weren't in the same room. A technical violation. Enough to nullify it completely. I didn't rush to court. No, that would have been too easy. I waited until my father's final announcement dinner, the night he planned to officially declare Asim as his heir in front of the entire extended family. It was a night of false smiles and expensive lies. Nadia in silk, Asim glowing with arrogance, my father radiating pride that wasn't his to have. I arrived late, calm, dressed in black. When the toast began, I interrupted. "Before you celebrate, there's something you should know," I said, placing a folder on the table. The room fell silent. Inside were the court documents, filed that morning, challenging the will, the accountant's affidavit, the legal notice to freeze all assets pending investigation. My father's face turned pale. Asim laughed nervously. "This is ridiculous." "Is it?" I cut in, voice steady. The law says a will signed without both witnesses present is invalid. I checked, I studied. You didn't. The silence that followed was the sweetest sound I'd ever heard. Then I looked at my father, really looked at him. The man who once taught me integrity now stood speechless, stripped of it. For the record, I said, I didn't do this for money. I did this so you'd know what it feels like to lose what you thought was yours. And then I walked away. 2 months later, the court nullified the will. The estate reverted to its original division, half mine, half his. But I didn't keep my share. I sold every property, liquidated the accounts, and donated most of it to the women's shelter my mother once volunteered at. Money never mattered. Principle did. Last week, I saw him outside the courthouse. Older, smaller, defeated. He tried to speak. I didn't stop. There was nothing left to say. He taught me business. I taught him consequence. And as I walked,